Actually, this video turned into something else. I wanted to film a vlog about just me being sick at home, doing like stay-at-home things, my handicrafts and so on. Instead, all this video I basically read and discuss with you this mystery. If you are I forgot the word, triggered by any of the, or assault or anything like that, don't keep watching. So I'm about to read The It Girl by Ruth Ware, this book, and basically it happens in Oxford. One of the girl gets, and all book we need to find out who did that, and it goes between 2 times, like when it happened and then 10 years later. And there is like a circle of friends, and as I read, I just basically discuss with you who I think did that. I also share details. I didn't expect to make that video, but yeah, I just want to warn you that there is assault, and I try not to talk too much about it, but just discuss with you who can be the suspects and, you know, all of that. So that's what this video about. I never done video like that. Maybe it will be interesting for you, maybe not, but it's so exciting because I have someone to discuss it with, even though it's just a camera. Okay, I need to go back to reading. It's already evening and I hope I can finish it today. So I'm reading The It Girl, and I need to tell you about it because it's giving like, not Gossip Girl, but basically there has been a murder at the Oxford University, right? One girl is a very middle class, and she put together in a room with this like it girl, like Jimmy Choo's, Vivienne Westwood, Manola Blahnik, Hales, like it all like mentioned there. She's like that rich. And then there is this simple girl, and she's very shy, and she's like in her shadow, blah blah blah. And then the rich girls get murdered. So it's like murder mystery, and the chapters goes like back and forth between where the shy girl is now and back to what happened. I usually, I said, don't like this type of thing, but it's okay. Here I kind of enjoy it. First of all, love when someone like starts mentioning like Jimmy Choo's and Manola Blahnik's and Vivienne Westwood, because love that. I love that in a book because immediately like I'm transported there. Also, okay, so why I started talking about it, I feel like it's this ex-boyfriend of the rich girl, now husband of the shy girl, who did that. So there is rich girl, there is shy girl. Rich girl is dating this guy, right? And apparently she also cheats on him, and the shy girl is obsessed with this guy, right? But now I know that 10 years later, okay, so back in Oxford, the rich girl gets murdered, and the shy girl says that she thinks that that older worker at the university who always gave her the creeps that did that, because she also saw him running away from the room. And basically all of that is based on her testimony. And he was put to prison. He kept appealing every year, and now he died. And now there is a journalist who tracking everyone, all the friends, and saying basically like he thinks he's not, this guy didn't do that, there someone else did that. And I'm like, it must be the boyfriend, because the boyfriend of a rich girl is now a husband of the shy girl, and they've been together for the 10 years now. She's pregnant, right? And I think it's so smart of him, if he actually did that, to keep an eye on this girl whose testimony put the wrong guy behind the bars. And now like every time she's like worried and she voices her concern, like maybe I did a mistake, maybe it wasn't him, he gets mad. Like the ex-boyfriend of rich girl, now husband of the shy girl, gets mad, like no, like it was him. Sounds like guilty to me. My camera is dying now, but again, I'm only on the 3rd page, on the 1/3 of the book, and from the first feeling, from the first chapter, I started to have this feeling. I feel like it's too easy to get. We just had Indian takeaway, but I didn't film it because me and my boyfriend will look so sick. Anyway, I'm still reading, and I wanted to finish it today, but I don't think I will make it. I'm so sick, I'm reading so slowly. But to update you, right? I still think it's the husband, ex-boyfriend who did that, but few new things happened. So first of all, she met the journalist and he told her that this it girl, rich girl, was pregnant. Why this always happens? Like, why it always happen in this like murder mysteries that she was pregnant, no one knew about it. And the second, like, they found no DNA of this guy, of this creepy older guy that worked at the university that the shy girl said that he did that, right? And now she's absolutely like freaking out. She's like, maybe it wasn't him who did that, but she's the one who basically sent him to the prison, right? Because it was, anyway, her husband, an ex-girlfriend of the ex-boyfriend of this it girl, I don't like him. I really don't like him because first of all, he keeps freaking out once she starts like talking about that, and second of all, I was wrong. They didn't start their relationship after the all of the situation, but they started it while she was still dating the it girl, and they had this like moment and they kissed, and you know, all this happened. Now I'm thinking like it's so obvious it should be him that everyone says that the end of the book, like I read the reviews in Goodreads, trying not to read too much, not to accidentally spoiler, but apparently the oh my god, the end of the book is like mind-blowing. So if it's mind-blowing, it probably is not him. What if it's her? That would be crazy, right? But I need to keep reading. I want to finish it now. Today I think it's 5 o'clock and I'm not even half through. Who said it's a fast path? The queen of just one more chapter. I don't feel like this is a fast paced or a page turner. Like I'm actually reading it so slowly, but maybe because I'm so sick that I'm falling asleep. Okay, the update on the book. So this guy who was convicted, right, he's in his 50s and he works like at the university, and he was creepy, and apparently he was like way too creepy. So once the shy girl came home to their whatever university dormitory, and where is my tea? Once she came to the dormitory and this university worker, his name is Neville, like in Harry Potter. That's not good. I mean, that's good, but the guy is maybe bad. That's why I don't like. Anyway, the guy was in their room at 10 p.m. and like she caught him off guard. Like she came from the bar, the shy girl, and he was in her room, kind of like bringing a parcel or something, but she was, and then he didn't want to leave or something, and that really freaked her out. So he is creepy, but just because he's creepy doesn't mean that he did that, right? I hate that I'm so sick right now, that I'm reading so slowly, because I just want to get it. Like, for me it is extremely slow book, and I just want to know, like, if it's not the boyfriend and if it's not the Neville, the weird guy, who could it be? So their friend group consists of few people. Hugh, who's a very, very shy but like posh, smart guy. Emily, I'm so bad with names, that's why I give the nicknames, who is like the feminist girl who sleeps with Ryan, I think, the sporty buff guy, and I think that's about it. And then the it girl, and then there is shy girl. So apparently there is suspicion that the sporty guy who is sleeping with the feminist girl also was sleeping with the it girl, because there was some tension. But that's basically their friend group, and it could be one of them, but it's already middle of the book and there's still no, what is it called, alibi. Like she didn't discuss their alibi at all, or alibi. Also, she doesn't go into details about the court, like who was actually under the suspicion and everything, because also how crazy is it that he ended up in prison even though there was no DNA, nothing. And apparently the neighbors downstairs didn't hear any fights or anything like that. So, and they don't say how exactly it happened. Also, if it's triggering now, please don't watch it. I maybe should put it in the beginning of, yeah. But apparently I think she was strangled. Okay, but there was no struggle, there is no DNA, and no one heard anything. Like the downstairs neighbors said that they just heard her walking back and forth, and that's all we know. That's all we know. That's very little information. Someone in the review said that it's like Agatha Christie. It's not like Agatha Christie at all. I don't know why someone would say that. It doesn't seem like Agatha Christie. It just gives. Also, I'm so tired of her being like shy and not confident in herself. Like, girl, just go out there. I mean, the it girl gave, when she had like nothing to wear, to this like fancy whatever dinner with a professor, the rich girl gave to the shy girl top, which was like 600 or 800 quid, and her Manolo Blahniks, I think it was like green crocodile, or was it? Yeah, it was green crocodile or green python or something like that. Now that's an outfit. So handy to have if you don't have a lemon. A little update, right? So we have Will. Will is the guy who was the boyfriend of the rich girl, right? Who, you know, right? So he was her boyfriend, and the shy girl was always, since the first day she was obsessed with him. They shared a kiss, but I don't know what happened because I'm still reading. But 10 years later, I know that he is the husband of the shy girl, and they're expecting a baby, right? So now, since the journalist told her that the rich girl was pregnant at the moment of her, so now the shy girl tried to like rethinks everything, and she knows, like, she suspected that the rich girl cheated on Will, because sometimes she will see like different types of shoes by their dormitory room, so she knew it's not Will. And there was some other situation that she felt that the guys with whom her roommate, the rich girl, sleeping is not Will, is not her boyfriend, right? And she just now, like, it's been 10 years, girl, like, you're literally married this guy, and you're like, just now you're like, if it's true, like, that the rich girl was cheating on Will, if it's true, it gives someone else a motive to Will. How, like, I don't believe she didn't think. And I read further, and it looks like she didn't think about it before, because she's like, she knows Will, like, she knows her own heart, and then she's thinking, like, if she will start thinking about it, like, it all will come to light, and everyone will start questioning him, because it's such a cliche that the boyfriend did that and it just couldn't be true. And like, it looks like, yeah, it looks like no one like thought about it before. But if everyone will find out that she was pregnant, then it like can put the Will under the risk. But like, girl, you have a baby with him, you have like 10 years, and you're the one who put the guy behind the bar saying like, yes, okay, he ran out of the room, but you haven't seen anything else. You know there's no DNA, and you not once questioned like all of your friends or like the boyfriend, especially if you knew that the rich girl is cheating on him. Like, everyone knows it's the husband or it's the boyfriend. So how is only 10 years ago you're thinking like, it gives someone else a motive to Will, my boyfriend, my husband, with whom I've been for 10 years? Like, you should have, like, no way you haven't thought about it in 10 years. And now she's thinking if she should ask him if he knew that April, by the way, that's the name of the rich girl, if she was pregnant. Yeah, I'm reading that slowly. And something about their relationship, like, I don't trust him. I don't know, it's like I can't put my finger around it, but it's like he's trying too hard. Does it make sense? Apparently also his family is not speaking to the shy girl, now wife, and they haven't even came to the wedding, because it looked they felt that the wedding and came too fast after the tragedy, and he apparently dated April on the moment of the tragedy, right? And then they moved on, and like he suddenly marries this another girl, and they felt like it's too soon, so they didn't come to wedding. But the shy girl, it feels just because they didn't come because she's from middle class. But that's like, I have a feeling that he married her just to keep an eye on her. Apparently he also sometimes can't control himself, because she talked about this one situation when he got in a fight with another guy, and it was like crazy. She saw him, like he couldn't stop and everything. But all the other relationship, like even though there's been together for 10 years, she always says like she can't read him, she doesn't know what is happening, and he's very like guarded and closed. But she says that's because he is like what is it called, like the private boarding school, because it's British book. So she's like, he's like a just like a boarding school boy, and that's where it comes from. But if he did that, that would be like so predictable. It's funny how making content and filming this video actually motivates you to do something, because I would have been like laying on the sofa scrolling through the phone, but because I'm filming it, I'm now also so involved to kind of tell you how is it going with the book. I don't know, it is weird because I'm obviously just filming it to the camera. But few updates. So first of all, April did tell to the rugby guy with whom he was cheating on her boyfriend that she was pregnant. He doesn't know if it was just a prank, because apparently she was a prankster, but that's like a stupid prank to do. But she was sleeping with him and she was pregnant, but also she was sleeping with someone else. The shy girl figured it out because she remembers, you know, she's her roommate, so she figured out that it wasn't Will and it wasn't rugby guy, and there was also someone else. Then about the Neville, so he not only once appeared in her room and he shouldn't be there, but also once the shy girl was trying to get back to the uni after the gate was closed, and she was kind of like jumping over the fence, and then someone grabbed her, ran after her, tackled her to the ground, and it appeared to be Neville, and he was like extra aggressive, and then someone else came out and asked like what happened, and then she ran for it, the shy girl. So she felt like she was assaulted, but when she brought it to her professor and, you know, to her friends were concerned. They were like, that's not okay, like she had a bruise on her face and everything. When she brought that to professor, and 10 years later she also discussed when it was brought up on the court, everyone said like, well, his job was to protect the university, and she was climbing in the dark over the fence, so he thought that it's like intruder, and he was just basically doing his job. But she felt very weird, so I kind of can see why she was like so strongly like it was him who did that at the court and everything. But also apparently 10 years later, she says that on the court it was said that there was apparently other girls who came forward about him following them around. So we have now this information, right? I still have my suspicion on the boyfriend, because she also asked, the shy girl 10 years later asked her now husband if he knew that April was pregnant, and he was like, no, it's bullshit. So she actually traveled 10 years later, right? She traveled all the way to see that rugby guy who had that stroke, and he's like half paralyzed. It's a bit too dramatic, because apparently he had a stroke in his 20s, has like a family and everything. But I'm thinking like, why is it written in the book? Because like it feels a bit too dramatic. I'm thinking if there is like a connection, because the girl even asked the shy girl, is her name Hannah? I actually have no, she's the main character and I don't remember her name, I'm so bad with the names. She even asks him if she thinks that his stroke is because of all of the stress that they all had after the strategy, and he says no, like he just didn't take care of himself, he drank too much and ate too much, etc., right? But she traveled all the way to ask him if he knew that April was pregnant, and he says yes. And then whatever they talk, because I haven't talked for years, and she travels home. Now I'm thinking, right, why didn't she ask him if Will knew that April is cheating on him with his best friend? Yeah, Will and rugby guy, whose name I think is Ryan, were best friends, right? Why she didn't ask? Also, Ryan, apparently he used to be a journalist, and he says that back then, like, you know, when the court was going, he was the journalist, and they all discussed that, and there was a very strong, like, a story between the journalists that the defense didn't do a very good defense job, that this guy shouldn't have ended up in prison, because the only thing, they again repeat, the only thing that was against him was that she said that he saw her running away from the room, and again the story of him being creepy. But the Ryan even says, like, again, he saw you in the dark, he thought that probably you just like try to get into uni, and you know, all of this other story is not enough to convict someone. So everyone was like, why this happen? Because no one expected him to go to prison, right? But again, she should have asked, like, hey, does my husband know that you're his best friend and you slept with the girlfriend? And if he's the journalist, if Ryan is the journalist, he, you know, April told him that she's pregnant, and you know, he heard all of the stories that this guy probably haven't done this because that's not enough proof. Why he didn't think that maybe Will done that? Maybe his best friend did that. I look so bad. Hannah comes home and she tells Will everything that she knows, that April was pregnant. She asks him if he knew that April was pregnant. He says no, but then he's like, and that's, I think it says a lot. He says, like, I'm saying that April's murderer, as tried and convicted in law, died in prison, and that was the best thing for everyone. Because he's like basically talking about, like, why you still doing that, why you try to figure it out, like, Hannah, you're literally pregnant, why you run around and do that now? And she's like, well, I need to know if I convicted innocent man to die in prison. And he's like, I'm saying that April's murderer, as tried and convicted in law, died in prison, and that was the best thing for everyone. You know where I'm going, right? And then he's like, then who do you think did that, Hugh, Emily, or me? And she's like, don't be stupid, you weren't even in college that night. I read and watch not enough of detectives to know, mysteries, whatever, to know that usually that's the sign that in the end of the book it will appear that he actually could have come back home and his whatever alibi is gonna be weak. I don't know, I have a feeling. I again feel weird that in 10 years they're together, I think it's even more, that's the first time they talk about it. But then again, if she like kind of knew that he's not there, that he hasn't been at the university that night, she probably didn't consider that. But that's like so weird, because it feels like she always talks how this tragedy always waited above them, you know, she like moved countries, she like run away from it, etc., etc. And now it's like feels like it's the first time they actually talk about it. Weird. And he says that he had the suspicion that April was sleeping with his best friend Ryan, but like whatever. I just thought of one thing. It's usually the guy you least expect or the least think about it, right? And I just realized that I haven't suspected much Hugh. Hugh is the shy guy. He is also from the boarding school, and he's apparently like old money and all that stuff. And 10 years later, he did very good for himself. He's like, I think, rich surgeon, and he has his apartment, but he doesn't have relationship, etc. He's like a bit socially awkward, as I understood. And April was always kind of making him blush and putting him in an uncomfortable situation, always like touching him and stuff, kind of making him a joke and making him blush, like I said. And I'm thinking, what if she was sleeping with him, you know? And maybe the guy who's shy and so on was hiding something inside. But he's like so nice. He's so nice to Hannah. He's so nice to April, even though he's a bit shy and social awkward. He's very like protective and very nice. But usually that's who in the end of the book appears to be, you know. Update: it couldn't be Hugh because Hugh was with Hannah at the bar and they came together back to the room. Hugh kinda wanted to make sure that Hannah gets home safely because of all of this like naval situation, so they walked together back to the room, and that's when they discovered April. So it couldn't be him because he was at the bar all this time with Hannah. How crazy would be if Hannah did that, if she, her best friend, but again, she was at the bar all this time, right? So couldn't be her, and couldn't be him. But then all of the other friends weren't at the bar. Not Ryan, not Emily. Apparently, Will was out of town visiting his mom. So it could be any one of them except then for Hannah and Hugh. Okay, apparently Hugh's parents are not well off, but Will's are, and that's what I don't understand. Like she constantly talk like 10 years later, how they're hardly making it through, blah blah blah, how there's like she doesn't make much money and Will always working, but then he's apparently a trust fund baby, so okay, that's weird. So now we came to the night of the events, right? And she talks how she comes home with Hugh, right? And here she says that I think a figure, I can't read aloud, figure was coming out of one of the staircases, a figure that looked very like it couldn't be. And then she asks Hugh, is that Neville? Like she's not sure. And then Hugh peered after the departing figure, then took off his glasses, wiped them on his shirt, and put them back on, squinting at the shape as it disappeared towards the cloister side of the quad. Could be. He's about the right build. Why? So both of them, like Hugh is definitely not sure if that was Neville, and Hannah, like the way she talked about it over the book, it felt like she absolutely saw Neville, and apparently it was dark, and she's not sure. And she's like, I'm fairly sure he was coming out of the staircase 7 out of my staircase. Are you sure he came out of here? He asks, and she says, I can't be certain, but I think so. You really didn't see him coming out. See, I can't be certain, but okay, maybe she can't be certain where did he came from, but it also looks like it was dark and she wasn't sure that it was Neville. A figure that looked very like, but it couldn't be. Like, I don't read that she's sure that it's him. I feel like I'm so close, but I'm falling asleep. It's only, what, 7 o'clock, but I'm so sick. Anyway, few updates. Now, Hugh and Hannah is together at the bar 10 years later, and she's asking him, like, please, you're the only one who also was there with me. Is there anything I missed? Not like they went through that so many times before at the court, but they now discuss it, right? Because she doubts, she again asks him, did you see Neville getting out of the stairs? And he says, I saw someone, and you were the one who was sure, and you were sure, Hannah, before you even knew what happened. But then he says that and besides, Neville, admitted being up there. So Neville, now I remember that Neville at the court, he admitted that he been up there, apparently again to take a parcel to April, same excuse he had when he was in Hannah's room. He said that he brought a parcel, even though the university workers are not supposed to do that. And he said at the court that he left and April was still alive and well, etc., etc. So even if she wasn't sure, or we're not sure if it was Neville who left, and if Hannah is not sure, he himself confirmed that it was him. Funny thing. Okay, wait, did I get it? I think Hannah did that because... No, it must have been Hannah. Okay, let me explain you. So basically, he walked her home, right? Walked Hannah home, and then I haven't reached that yet, but he was outside in the stairs, basically just walked her to the door and was waiting while Hannah got to her room, but he wasn't with Hannah. I don't know how much time passed, but then I think she screamed when she saw April and he ran upstairs. I think I'm about to find out that, but I know that he was waiting outside the stairs, like he didn't actually walk inside the building, and I know that he's the one who performed like first aid, like mouth to mouth and all of that later on. And he says here, you went upstairs and I waited. I was just about to walk away. Okay, no, I haven't read that part. So I was just about to walk away when I heard you cry out. I knew it couldn't be Neville. We'd seen him leave, or at least you had, but you sounded really scared. I knew something was wrong. I can't explain it. I ran up the stairs. The door was open and you were inside on your knees leaning over April's body. So also another thing I forgot to mention. I don't remember, but to someone or to herself, Hannah said that to the interviewer, to the journalist, she said that she doesn't remember once she walks, she remembers opening the door and then everything is blurry. So even over the years, she didn't exactly remember what happened because apparently the shock was so big that her psychologist said later on, or her therapist, that her body kind of blocks it, so to protect from the trauma. So she said to this day some things will come up in her dreams, but she doesn't know what is true or what is not. So, and there was no like what is it, I said that the neighbors didn't hear any, like, I'm lost for word, I feel like my fever is going up, no fight or nothing like that, right? So it was very quiet. So what, and apparently it was, right, just a few minutes. So what if Hannah came upstairs? April, I don't know for what, maybe because she was falling in love with Will or something was happening. Because that will make sense, right? Because if you think about it, Neville left. And she was, if Neville says the truth, right? He says like he left, April was alright, and it was only like minutes, seconds since he left. So she's alive, then it's Hannah who goes to the room, right? Another crazy idea I had, that what if April, like a It Girl, there's been books like that, staged her own, like to be like dramatic, and because she wanted to go on young and like famous, etc., etc. I think I've read some book like that, but I don't remember the name, but you know what I mean, right? So now I think it's either was Hannah, maybe April staged her own, I don't know. And third one, was it maybe she came to the room and actually the Will wasn't out of the town, but he was in the room, but again she can't remember anything, right? What if she saw Will but her memory blocked that, and Will knows that she saw her, and that's why he's like married her, because he's not sure if he will remember it once, or maybe he thinks that she loves him so much that she is protecting him, and that it's kind of like unspoken between them that she knows that he did that. Because now I feel like it is so Like, it's so crucial that she actually doesn't remember what she saw when she opened. And if you think she's the only one, maybe, who was in that room, if Neville left and April was alive. Okay, I need to keep reading. I also feel like I'm getting so feverish. Okay, interesting point. Hugh said she was still wearing her wig because she was in a play later. Earlier on, she was in a play. She was like an actress, blah blah blah, and Hugh says she was still wearing her wig, and I always wondered. And again, he swallows and then stops. What Hannah says, I always wondered, Hugh says softly, if he thought that she was you. Like if Neville thought, because of the wig, that April is Hannah. I also thought about it early in the book, because they're roommates and it was dark, etc., that if Neville kinda got the wrong girl, because he was always following April, or sorry, always following Hannah, not April. So I was thinking, like, why would April if he was following Hannah? So maybe he mixed them up. April had short blonde hair. Back then you had long dark hair, and the lights were very dim. It was just one lamp in the corner burning. Hannah nods. You mean that he meant me? You had just reported him to the college authorities, hadn't you? I've always wondered. Honestly, like, this is so weird. Like, if it was such a big case, right? And it was apparently a huge case because the April 8 girl, she was in all of the, like, she was in Tatler. She was, her dad is compared to the Warren Buffett, I think. Like, they were, like, extremely rich, right? And this case was so big, and how they didn't go through that before, especially that they knew that Neville, that Hannah reported Neville and all of that, like how they didn't got through the possibility that Neville thought that it is Hannah. That doesn't seem plausible. I don't think that's the word. Hugh said, I went over to her. You were kneeling over her body. You kept saying, oh, April, oh my God, April, over and over again. I tried her pulse, and I think in my heart I knew she was gone, but I couldn't quite bear to admit it. I began pumping her heart. Like this, oh, April, oh my God, April. There is too many books, again, written about things when you, like, the main character forget what happened, and then in the end of the book, it's her who did that, and that's why she can't remember. What other way? It could be also other way that maybe Will also like hiding somewhere in the apartment, and he knew that Hannah did that, and that's why he's kind of married her to protect her. Maybe there is also like he loved her, etc., etc., and he wanted to protect her, and he knew that she blocked this memory, but he knows that she did that. But apparently before the trial they were told strictly not to discuss the case for fear of prejudicing each other's evidence, and afterwards the last thing she wanted was to wallow in the pain and horror of that night. Now she is ashamed to realize that what Hugh went through was just as bad, maybe even worse. You discuss it 10 years later. Okay. The last update, and I think I need to go to sleep because I'm so sick. This book, I never read this slowly. So few updates. Apparently, you remember Emily, right? Emily is the Ryan's girlfriend, and Ryan was sleeping with April. Emily is like this very smart, feminist, girly. So apparently April had like a prank on Emily, and before that Emily said that if April will ever pull like a prank on her, Emily will end her. April, right? But that doesn't make her, you know, now Hannah thinks maybe Emily did that, but come on, like, this is too obvious. Like, I don't think she did that. But also, my boyfriend's playing video games. But also Hugh says that apparently towards the end, even he could say that there was something between Hannah and Will, like, you know, they kissed, etc. But I thought no one knew about it and they couldn't tell the tension. But apparently if Hugh could say, he says like, well, it wasn't obvious exactly, but I don't think you had to be Freud to see it, and April was nothing if not good at reading people. So he could see that something between Will and Hannah was happening, and he thought that April knew that. So I don't think she knew anything, but I think there was a hell of a lot of tension that last week, and I think maybe April had already decided to cut her losses with Will and move on. But Ryan, like, he also said that maybe April had given Ryan an ultimatum and it didn't go the way she thought it would. And that's why she pulled a prank on Emily. Okay, we're getting there, right? So basically, apparently April wanted already maybe to end things with Will because she could sense the tension between Will and Hannah, and she also was already sleeping with other guys. She was sleeping with Ryan, and if she was ready to break up with Will, get on with Ryan. But Ryan was dating Emily, and that's why maybe Ryan didn't want, because here Hugh says that, or was it Hannah? But Ryan wouldn't play ball, Hannah says slowly, because although he'd been messing around with April, he loved Emily. Probably he didn't want to break up with Emily, and that's why April went and pulled this prank on Emily and made Emily very mad. What does that leave us with? I don't think Emily did that. I really don't think so. It's the only reason I can think of, Hugh says with a shrug, why she would have been so frankly horrible to Emily. I mean, there wasn't a lot of love lost between them, but there wasn't much actual animosity. But that last prank, that smacked of real hate. Can we also have some information how exactly April, because like, was it like a passion, you know, thing? Was it like accident? Maybe she just fall and hit her head. Like, I need more information. I think they said something about, but I'm not sure if that was it. I also don't know, I'm using so many words, I don't know if this video will be blocked or anything, but we're just talking about the book, right? And there is so many podcasts about these type of things, but just in case I say these things quietly, like it will matter. Oh, that's a good one. So if April was angry at Emily, who had after all done nothing apart from being Ryan's girlfriend, right? How furious must April have been with Ryan for rejecting her? Furious enough to fake a pregnancy test. That's actually a very good thing. Could Ryan done that? He wasn't at the bar. He did rejected her. He was very, like, I don't know, big buff rugby guy. And he was very, like, there was a lot of tension between them, and he was very fast to react. Once when April pulled a prank on him, like, there was so much tension, he reacted so badly that he almost hit her, even if it wasn't for people around him. So apparently there is this thing in him, and then all this stress could have reacted on him getting a stroke, because I still don't understand the stroke. Like, to write in something so dramatic for no reason. I mean, he's not even like Will, you know, like a main character. To write something so dramatic for a secondary character, there should be reason for that. So maybe he did her, and all of the stress resulted in a stroke later on. Like, that would explain the stroke. And I don't know why the stroke doesn't make sense to me. Furious enough to fake a pregnancy test, in which case maybe April wasn't pregnant when she died. But if she was pregnant and she had just been rejected by the father of her unborn baby, then perhaps that would explain her vicious overreaction to Emily. Oh god, she has to stop going back and forth like this. We should stop going back and forth and back and forth like this. I feel like this is a good mystery because I don't know who did that. I think still, okay, I have few suspicions, but I think for a case that was so popular, as I said, and like in basically she talks how journalists constantly still 10 years later contact about her, like all of this should have been like discussed so many times in all of this, like I don't know, social media articles, right? Because it was written like a few years ago, so it's not an old book. In all of the newspapers, like they so, and she was such a famous it girl, like there should have been so many theories and everyone should have went through that. So it feels like how that case even was there, like what they went through at the court. One more chapter and then I go to sleep. I'm sorry, but you don't have to like April, but I don't like Hannah. Like I'm sorry, but she's a bit slow because only later in the evening when they're already about to leave, because that's the first thing that occurred to me, and only later on Hannah thinks, how angry must April have been with the girl Will was maybe falling for, if she was so angry with Emily, who had done nothing wrong at all. Like, if you think that April was that angry with Emily, the first thing you should think, like, how angry April will be with her best friends who has something with her boyfriend. I now feel more than I read, but we finally have some alibi. So Emily, Ryan, and Will were interviewed, but then told they were free to return home because Hugh and Hannah was not allowed to leave Oxford. So I guess they were like the prime suspects, right? But Emily, Ryan, and Will, none of them were suspects. Ryan had spent the whole night in the bar with multiple witnesses, including Hannah and Hugh. Okay, so Ryan stayed in the bar. I missed that. Okay. Will had been away from the college at home in Somerset until Sunday morning. Emily, like, who was the witness there? His mom? Like, why they didn't check the boyfriend more thoroughly? Okay, so Emily had been in the college library all evening, and examination of her swipe card shows she hadn't left until after 11 p.m. when she, along with a few other students still studying, had come out to see what was going on while the police were hurrying across the forbidden lawns to New Quad. Hannah and Hugh were different. They weren't suspects, but they were witnesses. They had discovered April's body, and Hannah had reported the prime suspect to the college authorities just days before April's death. I think it's Hannah. Do you think it's Hannah? I think Hannah did that, or Will, because when talking about all of their alibis, they said like, okay, Ryan with multiple witnesses were in the bar, Emily had been in the college and blah 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 with few other students, but Will, it just says that he has been in Somerset until Sunday. Then again, Emily had been in the college library, left until after 11 p.m. Showed by her swipe card, can be tampered with. She could have, you know, jumped out of, I don't know, window or something. Okay, an update. I'm not going to sleep today. I feel like I'm so tired. Hannah is having lunch with this journalist and April's sister, who was 10 years old when everything happened. And anyway, they're discussing everything, and now, how I didn't realize that before, Hannah realized one thing, that she says that there had been absolutely no opportunity for anyone else to enter staircase 7 because, again, she was upstairs and Hugh was outside, and apparently there is only one way to the room, which is the staircase 7. It was Neville or no one. But then she says, oh my god, her hands have gone suddenly cold. Oh my god, she remembers that it could be Dr. Myers, which is professor, who lived on the same staircase as them. Basically on the staircase, I didn't understood, but it's a bit like old building. It was their like unit where Hannah and April lived, and then it was the professor. That tutor who lived on your stairwell, yes. He's the one person who could have accessed April's room between Neville's leaving and me and Hugh arriving. He wouldn't have needed to enter the building. He was already there. Then the journalist said he wasn't even her tutor. Hannah said, no, he was mine, but April knew him. She went to a party he threw. He had this reputation. He used to invite students, female students, out for drinks, and they were all April's type. Very beautiful, very... And a few times it mentioned that he basically, this professor, was their neighbor. Yeah, that's the word. I'm so tired. And I thought, like, how weird is that professor lives next to the students, literally next door. And I didn't even think that it could be him. But, okay, for a second I thought it could be him. In the early chapters, for no reason at all, April crashed the parties. Basically, this professor threw parties for his best students, and Hannah was invited because it was Hannah's professor, and April decided to crash it, even though it wasn't her professor, and you know, she's an it girl, she has so many better parties to go, but she decided to crash the party of this professor, and I thought maybe they have something going on. But then I forgot it, because usually it's always someone who did that. Is usually someone who is mentioned only a few times and then you forget about him. Will I ever finish this? Like, I feel like I'm not reading at all. No one is going to sleep. It's 9 o'clock and I have, I think, 100 pages left. So Hannah met the sister, right? Her name is November. It's April's sister, and together they decide to go to Oxford and question the professor. Sorry if I'm talking like that. As you can imagine, my nose is not breathing at all. So also they meet Emily there. Emily is living there now, so she's, I think, a professor as well. Anyway, they made the walk down the memory lane. They visited the room itself. They met the doctor professor, and yeah, so apparently he wasn't there when it happened. He was presenting at a conference in Cambridge and stayed the night there. He didn't see or hear anything. So we are back to square one. Who did that? Is it Hannah? Is it Hannah? Like, could it be Hannah? I don't think it's Emily. But Emily is like, is that true? Don't you think it's a bit too convenient for him, don't you think? Like, it feels so weird that, again, I said it many times, that as big as this case was, they don't know much, and you know, all of these like theories should have been checked and rechecked. Okay, so she found out something. The truth is that she's not sure if they're back at square one. Something has been gnawing, I don't know this word, gnawing at her since her conversation in the set with November. Something November made her see with fresh eyes, but she's not sure she wants to share it with Emily. Not yet, not while she's still figuring out the implications. I'm definitely not going to sleep. Okay, so November says that the professor, he could have come back after establishing his alibi at the conference. Hannah says, I really don't think so. I mean, when? The porters would have seen him coming through the main gates, and if he'd used one of the unmanned ones, he would have had to swipe in and his card would have been recorded. Well, there is always the possibility he climbed over that gap in the wall. That's what I said about the Emily, that even though she was at the library, my nose doesn't breathe at all. she could have like and swiped the card at the library. She could have gotten away, right? Of course, finally Hannah realized something, and now so many things happening, taking her away, taking her attention away, and she can't tell me what she figured it out. Oh no, my camera dies. Okay, I feel like I will go to bed. I will finish 100 pages, but I want to update you so much as I go, but my camera is about to die. It will take her a while to charge. Let me see if I can fastly get to the point where she tells what she figures out. I think she figures out that it could be Will because now they're fighting, and she says like she never been mad at Will before. That's what she realized. She showed to her sister November when they visited the room, right? She showed her how once April pranked her. She kind of like got outside of the window and pretended that she's about to fall, just like holding with her hands, and it was a prank. And then in the end she couldn't get back into the room because Hannah couldn't pull her up, so April got off the roof with this like what is it, rain drain thingy, and she got downstairs. I think it was like 2 floors or something. So that's when she showed that to November, that prank, and talked about it. She realized that someone could have escaped the room through the window like April did back then. I think it's Will, because also now they've fought, and she said right now she hates him, and she like never hated him before. Someone could have killed April and then climbed out of the window. Hannah finishes for her. She pays for the... We have all been focusing on the fact that no one could have got into the building after Neville left, but that's not the issue. The issue is that no one could have got out, or so we assumed. My camera is about to die. I will tell you the... I charged the camera, and I just needed to tell you that. So basically, my camera died, and I don't remember. I have the cream all over my face. I don't remember the last thing I said, but basically they found out that someone could have escaped through the window, right? And they immediately started, Hannah and November, the sister of April, they immediately started suspecting Emily of doing that, but I immediately thought like that's not Emily, right? And then on the way back to home, she called Hugh, the shy friend, right, who followed them. Okay, so basically, after all of this tragedy, Hannah ran away to Edinburgh to kind of hide from all of this paparazzi, etc., etc. Then Will later on came, like kind of after her. He was writing her letters for years, and then he just once showed up. Few months later they moved in, and then since then they've been living together, married, etc., etc. And also when Will came to Edinburgh, Hugh also kind of followed him. And in the beginning of the book, Hannah explained that basically Hugh was socially awkward, so it was hard for him to make friends, so maybe he didn't want like lose the friends that he already had, and that's why he followed Will to Edinburgh, even though he was like such a successful doctor that he could have a practice anywhere, right? And like Will and Hugh are the only one who kind of stayed in touch close with each other after all of this tragedy, right? So now she calls Hugh afterwards and says like they found out about the window, and she thinks that it's Emily. And then Hugh is like very weird on the phone, and he says, he doesn't know how to say, but he says like, Hannah, actually that night when I came home, I've heard something happening behind the wall. And that's when Hannah realizes that behind the wall, the neighbor to Hugh's room was Will's room, so she understands. As I told you before, I'm sorry I said that from the beginning, it's the husband, it's always the boyfriend. So I haven't finished yet. Anyways, long story short, she comes home. he finds out that she suspects him, and he's like, just ask me, and he asks, did you kill April? And he laughs, like, instead of saying no, he laughs, and she feels like it means he did that, and she starts running, and that's where I'm in the book, right? And she doesn't know where to run. She like runs out of the house, and the only place she could think of is she runs to Hugh's. All this time I'm thinking, if Hugh knew all this time, right, that he heard something behind the wall, why would he follow Will, right? Like, why? And stay friends with him, right? Stay best friends with him, follow him to another country, even though like they all kind of tried to stop being friends to kind of get past the tragedy. So if you knew that your friend might have been the one, because he said that he wasn't in the town but he actually, you heard him next door, why you're following him? Like, why are you still best friends with him? And now I realized, could it be because he was protecting Hannah, like maybe all this time, because they say like how he doesn't have a girlfriend or like relationship. What if he was in love with Hannah, and the only reason he followed because he wanted to protect her in case his friend actually did that? I think that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it, right? I haven't finished yet, so now Hannah is at Hugh's apartment, right? And he's shocked, she's shocked, and he's taking care of her, and they're about to go to the police station. But all this time I have this feeling like something doesn't feel right. Like, usually in the book, that's when you find out that it's actually Hugh who did that, because I don't know, there are signs, like, you know, like the way he behaves, and usually in the book that would be the turn that makes sense, because that would just make sense right in the book. But I can't, and I have a feeling now, I know I said will, but I have a feeling the way the chapter goes that it's gonna be Hugh, but I just can't stop thinking how he would do that, right? Unless he's covering for Will, because they together were at the bar. I think all this time they were together at the bar. And then Hannah left the bar with Hugh in her hand, and then he was waiting outside while she was going upstairs. So there is no way he could have done that. Why I think like it could be some magical way him, because it's kind of his word now that he heard Will in the next room. No one else heard that, no one else saw that, right? And now why I started recording, because now they're driving to the police station, and he apparently drove outside of the city, and they're on the weird road, and Hannah doesn't know where they're going, but she's so tired, and he's like, oh, I took the wrong turn. I told you, I did read on the reviews that the ending is very unpredictable. So, but I don't want to, like, I want to guess it myself. So what could it be? Could he cover someone? Like, if obviously he didn't do that, like he couldn't actually do that himself because he was with Hannah all this time. Could he be covering Will? I want to figure it for myself. So if he's now taking Hannah outside, like driving her somewhere weird because she knows something and he wants to her, right? What are the reason? Is he protecting someone? Is he protecting Emily? Is he protecting Will? Like covering him? It could, like, there is no way it could have been him who killed April, because how he would do that? He was waiting outside. Hannah was going upstairs and found April. All this time he was with her, unless like during the, and he couldn't like do that before Neville, because they saw Neville leave, and they say when the Neville left, April was alive, right? So it was literally split seconds or minutes, and during those minutes he was with Hannah,
going to... Could he be covering Neville? Like they were in relationships? I really want to figure it out for myself before I read what happened. What if in the end of the day he is Will's best friend? Maybe he was in love with Will. And maybe, you know, she ran to Hugh, Hannah ran to Hugh, but, you know, Will is not stupid. He could have figured where she's running, so he called Hugh. Hugh warned him, and now Hugh is taking Hannah to Will because he been protecting Will's for so many years, not telling anyone that he heard, if he actually heard that Will was next door, that now he's protecting that. Could that be that? Again, weird that he followed them to the city, and now he says he doesn't tell police about hearing someone because no one questioned him, and he said, well, Hannah, we saw ourselves that it was Neville, so if anyone asked me, have I heard someone across from my wall, I would tell, but no one ever questioned me, no one ever questioned Will's alibi, so, you know. Okay, I need to continue reading because I'm too sick to figure out. Hannah just said that everything is like so clear now to her, and she understands that he is the killer. But I don't understand why, because basically she remembers now, she sees April, she sees the whole picture clearly spread out in front of her with an awful crystalline clarity. The picture she has struggled to see, to remember for so many years. She sees the open door, she sees April sprawled across the rug, she hears her own screams, hears Hugh feet on the stairs, watches as he runs to April, presses his fingers to her pulse. She sees him crouched over April, desperately administrating hard compressions. Go, she hears him gasp, Hannah, go, for God's sake, go and find someone. So yes, I remember this was said before, that he was trying to do this, what is called hard compressions, and Hannah ran away to find some help, right? So she didn't actually come close to April. She saw her, she shouted, screamed, and then he came running and checked her pulse, etc., etc. So she says, like, now the whole picture, everything is clear. Not to me. I understand I should keep reading and I will find out, but I'm wondering, what could have she seen? Could it be so that maybe Will did that, but he finished that for him because he checked the pulse, but maybe, you know, instead of helping her, he did something else because he was a medical student, and Hannah didn't actually see. Hannah didn't actually. Hannah left the room, right? She left the room to find some help, and maybe during that time, the person who did that could have left the room. Maybe she means that the time, like, while she was looking for help, the person who did that could have actually left the room, and again, Hugh is covering that person. Because she also said, like, that couldn't be him. He's the only person she could trust. He was with Hannah from the moment April left the bar until the moment they discovered the body. So what did she saw? So he took her to the beach now, I think, to make it as like her source. She called her husband with a broken phone inside her pocket, but he asks her now, like, don't you want to know how you did that, how I did that, how I've been at 2 places at once? And she's like, I don't need, like, I know how you did that. What I'm thinking, because she couldn't be at 2 places at once, but the fact that she said that she didn't come close to her and he ran to her, and also now in the car while he kind of was driving her to police station but didn't, he dragged her with a drink, like her water being drugged, and she was so sleepy all this time. That's why she didn't realize that they were driving at the wrong place. What if he dragged April's drink? That's why she came home and she kind of like was passed out when they saw her on the floor. Like she was just, you know, unconscious. So she saw him doing the whatever first aid, whatever hard thingy, but then she ran away to look for help, and that's when he actually what's the word? You know, did the thing, right? That will make sense. If it's something else, I can't think anymore. Like I'm breaking my head and I want to figure it out so much. So I was almost right, but not exactly. So Hannah realized what happened because she remembered that she said like everyone pranked, no, April pranked everyone but her, and that was weird because she is the one who was like having a crush on her boyfriend, and Hannah says like even Hugh himself said that even like everyone noticed that, and April was very good at reading the people, so April definitely knew that Hannah and Will had something going on, so it only would make sense that she would prank, like if she pranked Emily, she should prank Hannah as well, as a, you know, because of her boyfriend and everything. So it was a prank in a way that April wanted to play dead, so then when Hannah will come and see that, she will be shocked, and that would be payback for her having a crush, for Hannah having a crush on her boyfriend, and she had to have Hugh on it because Hugh, as a doctor, medical, whatever student, he would be like, oh, don't come close, don't come close, and that would play a good prank, right? But then after she ran away to, you know, for help, he actually, and the reason why no one heard that is because Hannah was running around banging on the doors, like screaming for help, etc., etc. And the reason why when Hannah came back, he was very stiff, like shouting, "Don't come in! No one! Don't touch anything! No one should come in the room." And Hannah thought that's like so weird because he's usually so shy and he's being so firm, like no one should come inside and see that. And she understand why, because then she would see that, you know, her hands are bruised and April looks different as she saw her 4 minutes ago when she was just laying there playing dead, but actually being alive. Okay, I didn't see that coming. That's crazy. I actually haven't came up with a motif yet, so I'm about to read about the motif, but that's crazy. It's a bit after 11 p.m., 11:20, and I finished the book, so it was such a fun experience to discuss it with you. I feel like I've never been in a book club, but I would love it because usually I just, you know, I have no one to discuss with, so I just run basically to the end without actually trying to figure it out myself. Like I will have some things who might have done it, but I don't talk it through because I have no one to talk it through. So it was so interesting to talk it through with you and like figure it out who could have done that. So basically why he did that, she figured it out in the end. Yeah, by the way, Will is amazing husband. There together. He saved her just in time because she called him while in a car with a Hugh. She called him, she dialed, and he found her and she saved her, and etc., etc. You should read the book yourself, even though I told you a lot, but I still haven't told you a lot of little things. But what was I saying? Why he done that? Because he didn't want to tell her why he done that, and then in the fight, Will, or I don't know, they were fighting, there was a gun, Will and he was fighting, and Will ended up in the hospital, but Hugh died, and before that he didn't want to tell to Hannah why he'd done that, and only then she figured it out. It's because Hugh's dad was a doctor, and he was basically supplying Hannah with the pills to stay awake and study all night, and as a return, or basically their deal was that she helped him fake the exam to get into the Oxford. Like, she had a guy, ex-boyfriend, who would take exams. You know, which movie was that? You know, the TV show with the guy, the Troy Belisario husband. He would take the law exams. Anyway, I'm so tired. Anyway, so she helped him to get into the uni by asking her ex-boyfriend to take exam for him. That's why he struggled a lot through the uni, because he actually couldn't, like, he wasn't that smart to study because he didn't get himself into the uni, and she was constantly milking him for the pills. And I think, like, Hannah says that she thinks that he realized that she will never stop, and he was so tired of that, because that's what, like I said, like, she was always making him feel uncomfortable, but he would never tell her no, because he couldn't tell her no, because she knew this thing about him, and he kind of owned her, anyway, I'm too tired. So that was the reason, because maybe Hannah said maybe he even came up with this prank himself, with all this story, and then he made believe April that this would be a good prank. And that's why he did that. Good ending in a way that Will and Hannah are happily together, and that baby's on the way, etc., etc. But I enjoyed this so much. I feel like this video is probably gonna be so long, and I will spend all day tomorrow editing it. And in the beginning and while filming, I thought it's such a, like, this video doesn't make sense, and maybe no one would like it, but in the end of the day, I liked it. It was so fun to discuss it with you. Maybe it's the first and last video I made like that, but let me know if it makes sense and if you like it. But my other videos are actually about the thrifting, 2000 clothes, 2000 fashion vlogs about living in Finland. So yeah, this one is very different, but thank you so much for watching if you made it that through, and let me know if you guess from the beginning who is the real killer. Now I go to sleep.